And now, as always, we are going to start our lesson with our warm-up and our mental maths. And our mental maths is definitely on fractions this evening. So we've got some number chains here, but they're shorter than the usual ones. So the way it works, if you are new and you haven't seen our number chains that we like to do yet, so we basically have to say, so here's question A in this block. This is where we start. And we have to say, what must I add to get to 2? I have 1 3/5. What must I add to get to 2? I need to add, I think it's going to be 2/5, right? To get to 2. And then what must I add to 2 to get 2 1/3? I'm going to have to add 1/3 to that. Okay, so I've done the first one for you. That's how it works. You've got B, C, D, and E to do. Just be careful here. C extends all the way, okay? This is C. It's got 4 blocks. And then D and E carries on. All right, let's go to mental maths. It is mental maths time. And as always, I'm going to give you, let's make it 2.5 minutes. And I want you to get ready. And let's start. 2.5 minutes. All done. Okay, stop. That is our time up. And as you probably noticed, some of these can have different answers. So don't be shy to put your answer in the chat. So we start here with 3 4/7. And our final answer needs to be 5 5/6. So my suggestion is just to fill it up to the nearest whole number. So to add 3/7 to take me to 4, and then 4 and to get from 4 to 5 and 5/6, you could have done add 1 and 5/6. Okay, if anyone had anything different, just as long as you make sure. Okay, so you added 1 and 3/7, that's fine, as long as your answer makes sense and you're getting to 5 and 5/6. So same here, I would probably start by just going down to the nearest whole number and subtracting the 4/9. That brings me to 5. I need to go all the way down to 7/8. So there's so many different ways that you can do it here. Maybe if you want to just, maybe we subtract, let's subtract a 4, then there's a 1 left, and then we subtract an 8. That's going to get me to 7/8. So somewhere along the line, just make sure that you've subtracted an 8 so that you can get to 7/8. Okay, this one, we start at 3 and 2/7. So we need to go all the way up to 7 1/3. And you can add here 5/7. That's going to take us to 4. And then we add 3 1/3. That will give us 7 1/3. Okay, so some people did other things. You went 2 and 5/7. Perfect. That would definitely work as well. And then the last one, 2 and 5/8. You need to go all the way down. So I'm going to stick with my plan of just going to the nearest whole number by taking the 5/8 away. And then from the 2 to 1 2/5, I can subtract 3/5. All right. So that gives me 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16. So you can give yourself a mark out of 16 or a mark out of however many you attempted and however many you got right. Also, by the way, for those of you who are new, and for those of you who need reminding, you're welcome to take screenshots of everything that we do, to either look at later or to file somewhere with all your Watobe lessons. Okay, let's carry on. Right, so let's see. We've got the grade 5s, and they are reading library books. Kate is reading a book with 200 pages. Tandi is reading a book with 150 pages. And Luiso is reading a book with 120 pages. Okay. Then they all say, so Kate says, I'm halfway through my book. Tandi says she is 2/5 of the way through her book, and Loiso says he is also 2/5 of the way through his book. Okay, so let's have a look and let's think about this. Who has read the most pages? Who has read the most pages? And why do you say so? So take a moment. I think this needs maybe some working out or some thinking first. Don't just guess. So as soon as you have an answer, post it in the chat. Read the question carefully. The question asks, who has read the most pages? Who? Who is in the owl? Who? People are saying Kate, but I don't see explanations why. So the question says, explain why. So some people are saying Kate, but the reason they're giving is not quite right. Be careful, because everyone's books are different pages, different number of pages, eh? So I know a half is bigger than 2/5, but is that really the reason why Kate has read the most pages? There's someone who gave a nice answer, Lerona. Kate, because half of 20 is 100 and the rest is either 20 or 30 pages. That's a really nice sort of answer that gives a very good explanation, because although Kate read a half, that it's all, you have to look at the number of pages as well. So even though she's got the most pages in her book as well, we need to be careful with our reasoning there as well, because she might have the most pages, but we need to make sense of what is actually happening, right? So thanks, Lerona, for that. Half of 200 is going to give you like 100 pages, and then you have to think of 2/5 of 150 and 2/5 of 120. Will that be more or less? So I agree here that Kate read the most pages. Now, who has read the least number of pages? Who has read the least number of pages? And again, explain why. And try and answer it in a way where you give a really good explanation. Is it Luiso? We've established that Kate has read the most, but who has read the least? Is it Tandi or is it Luiso? Tandi or Luiso? Just make sure that you see that there are fractions here, guys. Some of you are saying because Luiso, because there's 120 pages, but you're not looking at the fractions. Each of these kids are saying how many of the pages they've read. Okay, I see a good answer there. I'm just reading some of your answers. Tamara sent me an answer, and it says that it's Loiso, because 2/5 of 120 is less than 2/5 of 150. Well done. That's also really well said, Tamara. Luiso, because 2/5 of 120 is less than 2/5 of 150. I definitely agree with that. Okay. So let's see. Steve, Sarah, and Busi are reading the same book, which has 120 pages. On Monday, Steve read 1/3 of the book. Sarah read 2/5 of the book, and Busi read 3/8 of the book. Again, who read the most and who read the least? Put it in the chat. Don't rush. Take a minute or two to think it through. Even if you feel like you want to work it out on a piece of paper, that's fine too. Don't guess. In maths, there's no guessing. If you have an answer for the question, feel free to put it in the chat, but you have to explain. You have to say why. Now, everyone reads the same book, eh? Everyone is reading a book with 120 pages. We are doing the question that's on the board, guys. Please focus in the lesson and follow what's going on. Questions on the board, read the question and start doing it if you've just joined. So Matthew's saying Steve read the most because a third is bigger than the other fractions. So a third is bigger than 2/5 and bigger than 3/8. Tara Jane agrees with that. And Senolo is also saying 2/5 of the number 150 is equal to that. Okay. Okay, so some of you are working out the number of pages. Let's do that. So if Steve read a third of the book, he would have read 40 pages. If Sarah reads 2/5 of the book, then how many pages has she read? That is actually 48 pages. And Bussy reads 3/8 of the book, and that's 45 pages. So, in fact, Steve has read the least number of pages. So Steve has read Steve must go here, he's read the least, and the most number of pages was read by Sarah. So if you remember, when we went back and we looked at the pizzas, when we did the pizza fractions, and we were trying to see what's bigger, like a 9th or a 6th. So then we used the fraction wall, or you guys told me how to make equivalent fractions. So that was one way you could do it, or you could just work out the number of pages for each person. So if you compare these fractions, a third, 2/5, and 3/8, then you will see that 2/5 is in fact bigger than a third. Okay, now another one. So by Friday evening, so let's see if we can now figure this out. Last round. By Friday evening, Steve had read 4/5 of the book. Sarah had read 7/10, and Bussy had read 3/4. Who was the closest to the end of the book? And explain. Okay, so take a while again and work it out. You can do it any number of ways, either through comparing the size of the fractions or by working out the number of pages that each person has read. Still 120 pages that everyone is reading. Okay, so what do we see now? who's closest? Who was the closest to the end of the book? Guys, we are now on question C, right? So we have moved on from the previous calculations. We are now doing the next part where it says Steve had read 4/5 of the book, 7/10 for Sarah, and Busi had read 3/4. And I think a lot of people are guessing. I don't want you to guess. I want you to be sure, because in maths we can't guess. We have to be sure. So how many pages, if you worked it out, how many pages had Steve read, if you've worked it out? Can we read 160 pages if the book only has 120? Can't read so many pages if the book only has 120 pages. Okay, so think again. How many pages had Steve read of the book? If it's 4/5, how many? Put it in the chat. Thanks, Matthew. Yes, it's 96 pages. And Sarah, how many pages has Sarah read? If she read 7/10 of the book. Zinkley says 84. Thanks, Zinkley. That's correct. 84 pages for Sarah. And Busi, she's read how many? How many pages has Busi read? She's read 90. I saw someone post 90. That's right. So who is closest to the end? Who is closest to the end of the book? Steve, indeed. Steve is closest because he's read 96 of the 120 pages. So how do we work this out? Some of you are asking, how do you work out the number of pages? So if we want to work out, Steve read 4/5 of 120 pages. So we can start off by just saying, what is 1/5 of 120? And 1/5 of 120 is just 120 divided by 5. So 120 divided by 5 is 24. But he has read 4/5. So we need to multiply the 24 by 4. And that's going to give me 96. And there was another way. If you did it 4/5 times 120 over 1, then you could times the 4 by the 120. So 4 times 120 gives me 480 divided by 5, and then you divide the 5 into the 480, and that gives you 96. So those were the two ways in which you could have done it if you were calculating number of pages. The other way you could have done it was to compare the size of the fractions, the 4/5, the 7/10, and the 3/4. You could have made those the same as well. That would have been another way that you could have figured it out. Okay, so let's go on, and we're going to do some more multiplication of fractions. And let's see, here's a flow diagram. I'm sure you guys have seen these before. And I'm going to start here with the 36. And the first thing I need to do with the 36 is divide it by 6. So 36 divided by 6, that must give me 6. And then I times it by 5. 6 times 5 is 30. Okay. That's how you do it if you've forgotten how to do a flow diagram. So I want you to now complete the rest of this first one. This is number 1, A, and this is B. So complete both of them. Now you can just, there where you are at your desk or wherever you're working, just write down the answers. You don't have to copy down. It will take too long. So just do the answers. Remember, when we say, I don't understand, you need to go a bit further than that and say, I don't understand how to, and complete that sentence. If you say, I don't understand, I don't know where to start explaining. So you need to be specific. It's a really good thing to practice, asking a question. Asking a good question is a really good thing to practice. You don't understand how to complete the sentence. If you don't understand, what is it that you don't understand? You need to tell me what it is that you don't understand. So we are just taking the numbers on the one end of the flow diagram and doing the operation that's in the middle of the flow diagram. So I did the first one with everyone. I said 36 divided by 6 is 6. And then we take that and we times it by 5. That's 30. And then you do that with each of the numbers. Each of the numbers, you do that through. Okay, when you are done, put a thumbs up in the chat. Okay, so we take, everyone is saying they don't understand. I'm explaining now, so listen and follow. So we've done the 36 already. We're going to take the 42 and we're going to divide that by 6. What do I get when I divide 42 by 6? I get 7. And then I times that 7 by 5. That gives me 35. Then I take the 48 and divide it by 6. What do I get when I divide 48 by 6? Put it in the chat. You get 8. That's right. And then 8 times 5 gives me 40. And then 72 divided by 6 is how much? Put it in the chat. That's 12. And what is 12 times 5? That is 60. And then 120 divided by 6. What do I get? 20. Nice, Anya. Times 5. 20 times 5, Nombuso says it's 100. Nice. Okay. Let's go to the next one. And that's all you have to do. You just divide and multiply the numbers. So 24 divided by 12. What does that give me? It's 2 times 7 gives me 14. And then 60 divided by 12, that gives me 5 times 7 is 35. Okay, now our input value is not given, but our output value is given. So we need to figure out what number divided by 12 times by 7 is going to give me 70. So what did you guys get? Nice. Quite a few of you got 120. That's great. So we say what number divided by 12 times by 7 is going to give me 70. So I know 10 times 7 gives me 70. So what number divided by 12 is going to give me that 10? So that will be 120. Okay, now we're back going this way again. 180 divided by 12 times by 7. What do we get? 180, 105. And now we're back doing the input number. What number divided by 12 times by 7 gives me 140? What do I get? 240. Very nice, everybody. That's excellent. Good job. Good job. Okay. So now let's see how this can help us. How much is 5/6 of 36? How much is 5/6 of 36? Some people are getting it really quickly, and that is maybe because they are looking at what we did in the flow diagram. Because if we're working out 5/6 of 36, that's the same as dividing by 6 and timesing by 5. Let's do the next one. 5/6 of 48. What is that? 5/6 of 48 is 40. There we go. So we can say 5/6. We know that of means multiplication. So we times by 48. And that's the same as saying divide by 6 and times by 5. 48 divided by 6 and timesing by 5 is going to give us 40. No, doing the wrong one. 5/6 of 120. What is that going to be? That's going to be 100. And then what is 5/6 of 96? Okay, so that one's not in the flow diagram, but maybe we can figure it out. 5/6 of 96. Some people are saying it's 90. Think again. Anuvuyo's got it. It's 80. So we divide the 96 by 6 and times by 5. Or we look at our flow diagram over here. 48. If we double 48, that's going to give me 96. So our flow diagram can help us with that. And then what is 5/6 of 6? What is 5/6 of 6? Dandalwetu says it's 5. I agree. It's 5. Well done. Good stuff, everybody. Okay. Let's do, what is 7/12 of 60? 7/12 of 60. That's the same as dividing by 12 and timesing by 7. That's 35. Good stuff. Lots of people are sending their answers to me by DM. And lots of them are saying 35. Well done. So what is 7/12 of 120? So 7/12 of 120. That one should go quick because we just look at the previous question. Look there, the previous question, 7/12 of 60 is 35. So 7/12, if I double the 60 to get 120, I can get 70. Nice. Good stuff. And then 7/12 of 180. Let's go to our flow diagram. That's going to be 105. Anavoya, you only need to put your answer once, eh? Yeah, Anavoya, we get it when you give it to us the first time, so don't put it twice or more than what, or more than that. 105. Okay, and then what is 7/12 of 96? 7/12 of 96. Can we look for a clue? We've got no clues here. It can't be such a big number, guys. If we are dividing 96, if we work out 7/12 of 96, then that's the same as dividing 96 by 12 and timesing it by 7. So what is 96 divided by 12 and timesing it by 7? 96 divided by 12, that gives me 8, and then I times that by 7. That gives me 56. Nice, Luniko, Tara Jane, Nkaba, all of you, well done. Everyone else, come, let's try and get this last one. 7/12 of 30, which is the same as saying times by 30. What do we get? If I see a comma, I suspect a calculator. No calculator up in here. Not allowed. What do I get? 7/12 of 30. Can we work it out? So we can say times the 30 by 7, that gives me 210, divided by 12. And now we need to go further. There's a remainder when you divide 30 by 12. But you can simplify 210 divided by 12. Can 12 go into 210? It's not 17 remainder 5. Still using that calculator. This is going to be your homework to figure out how we get the answer of 17.5. This is your homework. The answer is 17.5. How do we get there? That's what you need to go and figure out this week, or not this week, tomorrow, before I see you again on Wednesday. Right, here's our last one before we end this evening. Okay, so a bicycle shop has a half-price sale. The bike that Grace wants to buy usually costs 570 Rand. What is the sale price of the bike? Were you doing this question here, hey? So if it's half price, what is the cost of the bike? Put it in the chat. Don't overthink it. It's just half price. Matthew, I really hope that Grace is not paying more for her bike when it's on sale. We don't want that. Everyone else, where's your answers? I'm waiting. The bicycle shop has a half price sale. The bike now costs 570. What is the sale price? What is she going to pay for her bike? Guys, I don't know how you get these weird answers. It's just half of the 570. I think some of you are just guessing or doing weird things on the calculator, which you shouldn't be doing. Half price. What is half of 570? Can we divide 570 by 2? Another way to write it is 570 divided by 2. Can we divide it? That is 285, yes. So she is paying half price. Or another way we can say it is to times 570 by 2, by a half. 570 times by a half. And that's going to give you the same, 285. Okay, so the bicycle shop has a half price sale. Now, Brandon wants a bike. So we're reading now where we see the children's faces here with the speech bubble. That's where we are. The bike that Brandon wants to buy usually costs 786 Rand. What is the sale price? Okay, there's a half price sale. So the bike is 786. Are we waking up? But the answer is also there. So it doesn't help to put the answer because the answer is there. Just listen to the explanation. Half of 786, so you go half of 786. So you can break it up into 786. Half of 700 is 350. Half of 86 is 43. Put it all together, that gives you 393. I want you now to try. There's the plan, the strategy. You can follow that example and do question A and question B on your own. You can do the column method. This is quicker though, so try this first before you go to the column method or whatever it is called. Just do this first. Okay, work for 2 minutes quietly and do question 2A and B. Okay, so half of 416, we can just say, what is half of 416? So we halve it, and that's going to be 208. You could have broken it up. 416, we break up into 400 and into 16. And if we halve 400, that's 200. And if we halve 16, that's 8. So altogether, it's 208. What is half of 350? So we can halve the 350. We can break it up into 300 and into 50. And then we halve each of those. So half of 300 is 150. Half of 50 is 25. And altogether, you get 175. Okay, and that same plan work for whatever the fraction is, okay? It can be a quarter, it can be a tenth, it can be for anything. That same plan will work for that. But we are going to end it there for this evening.